Have you ever noticed changes in the behavior of a committed woman around you? Perhaps she is more attentive to your words, laughing more at your jokes, or seeking your company more frequently. These subtle changes may carry important meanings that need to be understood responsibly. Today, I will help you identify 7 signs that may indicate interest from a committed woman, not to encourage problematic relationships, but so that you can make conscious and respectful decisions. Let's explore each sign carefully, allowing you to navigate these delicate situations ethically, preserving both your feelings and hers. When we talk about altered behavior, we are facing a delicate and complex terrain in human interactions. Observing subtle behavioral changes in a committed woman requires sensitivity and a deep understanding of emotional dynamics. These changes can manifest in surprising and discreet ways. Imagine a transformation that goes beyond mere coincidences. She finds reasons to be close, her glances become longer, and her smile gains a different intensity when you interact. Such signs do not arise by chance. Rather, they represent a non-verbal communication laden with emotional meanings. Body language becomes a revealing element in this context. Small gestures gain a new dimension, a more frequent physical closeness, subtle touches during conversations, and a distinct willingness to be by your side. Each movement carries a silent narrative that needs to be interpreted with responsibility and maturity. It is important to highlight that these behavioral changes should not be seen as permission for inappropriate advances. On the contrary, they represent an invitation for deep reflection on the feelings involved and the ethical boundaries that must be preserved. The key to navigating these delicate situations lies in honest communication and mutual respect. Comparing these changes to her usual behavior in different social contexts can provide valuable insights. Are these changes exclusive to when she is near you? This distinction may reveal deeper layers of her true feelings. It's not about judging or condemning, it's about understanding. Every movement, every glance carries a unique story. Sensitivity in perceiving these signs without turning them into invasion or harassment is what differentiates a mature approach from a disrespectful one. The most important suggestion is to always maintain an open and transparent dialogue. If you perceive that the signs exceed the boundaries of a healthy friendship, a frank conversation becomes the best path. Preserving both parties' dignity, respecting existing commitments, and maintaining emotional integrity are fundamental principles on this journey of interpersonal understanding. The second sign that may indicate the interest of a committed woman involves a fascinating element of human communication: frequent mentions. Unlike simple coincidences, these constant references carry an emotional complexity that deserves careful and sensitive analysis. When a woman starts to mention you frequently in different social contexts, it may represent more than mere casualness. Observe how she cites you in conversations with friends, in interactions on social media, or during casual encounters. The details of these mentions reveal much about her underlying feelings. Pay attention to the nature of these comments. Are they positive and highlight your qualities? Do they come as subtle compliments or stories that emphasize your most notable traits? Such references may be manifestations of attraction that go beyond conventional friendship. However, it is fundamental to maintain balance and avoid hasty interpretations. Not every frequent mention means romantic interest. It may represent genuine admiration, a deep bond of friendship, or simply a recognition of your qualities as a person. The contextualization of these mentions becomes crucial for a more precise understanding. Analyze whether these comments arise naturally or seem forced, whether they come spontaneously or are deliberately constructed to attract your attention. The subtlety lies precisely in this capacity for critical and empathetic observation. It is important to emphasize that this analysis should not be transformed into a judgment exercise, but rather into an understanding. The goal is not to create fanciful narratives or fuel inappropriate expectations, but to understand the subtle emotional movements that permeate human relationships. Ethical responsibility in this process is fundamental. Recognizing these signs does not mean permission to advance or break established boundaries. On the contrary, it represents an invitation for deep reflection on the feelings involved, always prioritizing mutual respect and the integrity of existing relationships. The key to navigating these delicate situations lies in honesty and transparency. If you notice that these frequent mentions suggest something beyond a conventional friendship, direct and respectful communication will always be the best path. The third sign of interest from a committed woman involves an intriguing aspect of human interactions: the constant search for contact. This dynamic reveals complex emotional nuances that deserve careful and sensitive analysis. When a woman begins to create frequent excuses to communicate, whether through quick messages, seemingly casual calls, or interactions without a clear motivation, this may signal a desire for closeness beyond conventional friendship. These moments of contact are not random. They represent a subtle attempt to establish a deeper connection. Observe how these initiatives manifest. Are there unexpected good morning messages? Calls to share something seemingly insignificant? Ask yourself about the intention behind these gestures. Not all of these approaches indicate direct romantic interest. They may represent a search for emotional support, genuine admiration, or simply a bond of trust that has developed. The frequency and nature of these contacts say a lot. A woman who constantly seeks your presence, even in an apparently unpretentious way, may signal an attraction that transcends the limits of traditional friendship. But be careful not to turn these interpretations into fanciful narratives or inappropriate expectations. True wisdom lies in understanding these signs without judging or creating embarrassing situations. Each movement of approach carries a unique story, an emotional complexity that deserves respect and sensitivity. It's not about interpreting every message as a declaration of love, but about understanding the subtle movements of human connection. Ethical responsibility emerges as a fundamental element in this process. Recognizing these signs does not mean permission to advance over established limits. On the contrary, it represents an invitation for deep reflection on the feelings involved, always prioritizing mutual respect and the integrity of existing relationships. If you perceive that these frequent contacts suggest something beyond conventional friendship, direct and respectful communication will always be the healthiest way. Use this perception as an opportunity for honest dialogue, preserving the dignity of all involved and maintaining clarity about true feelings and expectations. Talking about jealousy in committed relationships is to traverse a delicate and complex terrain. Jealous reactions can reveal deep layers of unexpressed feelings, transforming into subtle indicators of possible interest beyond conventional friendship. Notice how she reacts when you interact with other women. Do her glances change? Does her body language become tense? Small gestures can carry immense meanings. A seemingly casual comment, a forced smile, or a silence filled with tension when you mention another person. These manifestations of jealousy are not always direct. They can arise in surprisingly discreet ways. A change in tone of voice, an apparently casual comment about your social interactions, or a sudden and excessive interest in your personal relationships can indicate deeper feelings. It is essential to understand that jealousy does not necessarily signify romantic interest. It may represent an intense emotional connection, a deep friendship, or simply personal insecurities. The key lies in the careful and empathetic interpretation of these behaviors. The complexity of these emotional reactions demands sensitive analysis. Not all jealousy should be interpreted as a romantic invitation. Some are reflections of complex emotional bonds, personal fears, or pre-existing relationship dynamics. It is important to emphasize that these manifestations should not be seen as a permission for inappropriate advances. They represent, in fact, a call for reflection on the feelings and emotional limits involved. Transparent communication emerges as an essential tool in this scenario. If you observe consistent patterns of jealousy, An honest conversation can clarify expectations and feelings, preserving mutual respect and integrity in existing relationships. Understanding these signs requires emotional balance and maturity. It is not about creating fanciful narratives or fueling inappropriate expectations, but about comprehending the subtle emotional movements that permeate human relationships. Wisdom lies in recognizing these signs without judgment, interpreting them as part of a complex web of human emotions, always prioritizing respect, ethics, and the well-being of all involved. The search for emotional connections represents one of the most fascinating and complex signs in the universe of human relationships. When a committed woman tries to establish deeper links, a delicate territory emerges that requires careful interpretation and emotional sensitivity. This quest for connection manifests through detailed questions about your personal life, interests, and more intimate experiences. She demonstrates an interest that goes beyond superficial conversations, seeking to understand your deeper emotional layers. Questions about your dreams, fears, expectations, and life stories may indicate a desire for closeness that transcends simple friendship. Observe how these attempts at connection develop. Are they moments in which she seems to want to unravel your essence, demonstrating a genuine curiosity that surpasses the limits of casual interaction? Sharing personal experiences, moments of vulnerability, or stories that would normally not be revealed in a conventional friendship can indicate more profound interest. However, it is crucial not to misinterpret these approaches. Not all quests for emotional connection mean romantic interest. They may represent sincere admiration, a desire for mutual support, or simply a significant human connection. The differentiation between an intense friendship and potential romantic interest lies in subtle details. How she listens, the intensity of her gaze, and her willingness to understand your most intimate aspects. All of this may reveal more complex emotional layers. Ethical responsibility emerges as a crucial element in this process. Recognizing these signs does not authorize inappropriate advances, but invites reflection on the feelings involved. Preserving mutual respect, existing boundaries, and the integrity of current relationships should always be the priority. Transparent communication appears as an essential tool. If you notice that these quests for connection suggest feelings beyond friendship, an honest and direct conversation can clarify expectations, avoiding misunderstandings, and preserving the emotional well-being of all involved. True wisdom lies in the ability to understand these emotional movements without judgments, interpreting them as part of the complex web of human interactions, always with respect, maturity, and sensitivity. The sixth sign of interest from a committed woman reveals itself through a fascinating and complex behavior: clear flirting. This universe of nonverbal communication carries subtle nuances that deserve careful and sensitive interpretation. Flirting may emerge in surprisingly discreet yet evident ways. Observe the compliments directed at you with a different intensity, subtle touches that exceed the boundaries of conventional friendship, playful teasing with connotations that slide between professional and personal. Each gesture carries a potentially revealing message about her true feelings. These moments of flirty interaction do not always mean an explicit desire for a romantic relationship. They may represent a complex social dynamic, a personal style of communication, or simply a way to establish connection. The key lies in the contextual understanding of these behaviors, avoiding turning them into fanciful narratives or inappropriate expectations. Body language becomes a revealing element. In this scenario, a prolonged smile, intensified eye contact, or physical closeness that transcends conventional limits, all of this may signal an attraction that goes beyond traditional friendship. However, it is fundamental to maintain emotional balance and maturity in interpreting these signals. Flirting can be fun, seductive, and a natural part of human interactions. It should not be seen as permission for inappropriate advances, but as an opportunity to understand the complex emotional dynamics that permeate relationships. Ethical responsibility emerges as a fundamental element in this process. Recognizing these signs of flirting does not mean permission to break established boundaries. On the contrary, it represents an invitation for deep reflection on the feelings involved, always prioritizing mutual respect and the integrity of existing relationships. If you perceive that these moments of flirting suggest something beyond casual interaction, direct and respectful communication will always be the healthiest path. Use this perception as an opportunity for honest dialogue, preserving the dignity of all involved and maintaining clarity about true feelings and expectations. True wisdom lies in the ability to understand these subtle movements without judgment, interpreting them as part of the complex web of human interactions, always with sensitivity, maturity, and deep respect for the emotions involved. The emotional openness of a committed woman represents a universe of complex and delicate meanings. When she chooses to share her deeper emotions, a channel of communication emerges that transcends superficial interactions, revealing intimate layers of her inner life. This moment of vulnerability should not be interpreted as a direct romantic invitation, but as a gesture of trust that deserves respect and sensitivity. Observe how she reveals personal aspects, fears, dreams, or vulnerabilities that normally wouldn't be shared in casual friendship. The depth of these revelations carries important emotional nuances. When a woman allows herself to show her more vulnerable side, she is creating a bond of intimacy that goes beyond traditional social conventions. Her accounts of personal challenges, expectations, or moments of anxiety may represent a silent request for emotional connection. However, it is crucial to maintain balance in interpreting these signs. Not all emotional openness signifies romantic interest. It might represent a need for support, a quest for understanding, or simply the building of a genuine trust bond. The manner in which she chooses moments to share, the intensity of her revelations, and the selectivity of her confidences can offer important insights. A keen observer will notice whether these openings are exclusive to her interaction with you or part of a broader pattern in communication. It is important to emphasize that this vulnerability should not be seen as an opportunity for emotional or romantic advances. It represents, above all, a gesture of trust that demands respect, discretion, and sensitivity. True wisdom lies in understanding these moments without transforming them into inappropriate expectations. Each revelation carries a unique story, a complex emotional universe that deserves to be embraced with maturity and empathy. If you perceive that these emotional openings suggest feelings that exceed friendship, direct and respectful communication emerges as the healthiest path. Preserve the integrity of the moment, respect existing boundaries, and maintain clarity about each other's true intentions. Human connection reveals itself in subtle details, in unspoken words, in silences laden with meaning. Understanding these signs requires sensitivity, respect, and a deep capacity for non-judgmental listening. Responsibility in relationships represents the crux of all our learning. Reflecting on signs of interest does not mean creating permission for inappropriate actions, but deeply understanding the complex emotional dynamics. Each observed signal should be interpreted with maturity, respect, and sensitivity. Honest communication remains an essential tool for navigating these delicate territories of human relationships. Our goal is not to judge, but to understand the subtle movements that permeate emotional connections, always prioritizing the integrity, well-being, and boundaries of all involved.